Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How are you doing, Phil?
I'm doing well, and I'm very pleased that I have not been replaced by an artificial intelligent robot.
Yet.
Yes. Oh, is that what the meeting is about after this?
We're having a short meeting after this. It will be very short because you know how fast AI processes stuff. So for the rest of you, please send your comments, questions to Song Talk Radio on Facebook or Instagram, or feedback at songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit songtalk.ca to see the show post for this episode, to find links to resources we mention, and to download lyric and chord sheets to follow along with the songs that we feature. Tonight, we're very happy to welcome to the show alternative folk duo Monet and Christian. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
We're good. We're happy to be here.
Great to have. Excited. Yeah, great to have you guys on the show. We met at a Function Bar open mic a couple of months back, and now we booked you on the show, which is great. Yeah, okay, great to have you guys on the show. Yeah. And before we get to Monet and Christian, just want to give a heads up to our listeners and to you guys and everybody else. We have officially launched our songwriting challenge for 2024, and that challenge is to write a holiday song. And we know the weather outside is not frightful. It's quite nice outside for those of us in the northern hemisphere, at least. And it's a good idea to get rolling on this. And you know, they always say that all those classic Christmas songs were written in the summer, or in California where it never snows. So you know,
it could be a Hanukkah song.
Could be a Hanukkah song.
A Kwanzaa song.
Yeah.
Or could it be a Halloween song?
Could be a Halloween song.
Halloween song. We're leaving it pretty open. We say we're writing a holiday song, so it's up to your interpretation. You know, whatever the case may be. And we do have a resource page that will continue to grow over the next few months as we continue to gather resources and stuff. But on the sidebar, songtalk.ca, go to the sidebar. There's a link there to the Songwriting Challenge 2024 with an AI generated image of Santa Claus writing a song, because I couldn't find one. So I asked an AI to do it, and on that page we have actually links to all the podcast episodes we've done over the last 10 years talking about holiday songs. There's a lot of content there.
We've talked a lot about
we've talked a lot. We do a holiday episode pretty much every year, and as well one YouTube video that we talked about with the launch episode for this challenge, which we did a couple of weeks ago with singer-songwriter Melanie Peterson, and that one was talking about the holiday song chord progression that shows up in many classic holiday songs. So something to think about while you're pondering your song while you're at a barbecue on Canada Day.
Absolutely. You could write a song for Canada Day.
Yeah, if it's a holiday too, why not?
That's true, right?
Yeah, and for Americans, 4th of July, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there must be a holiday in July in England, isn't there? Must be. Anyway.
Probably.
They actually, we lived in England for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
They've got random holidays every couple of weeks. Suddenly everything's closed, all the banks, and you're like, I don't know what's going on.
But at least we've got the day off, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. There's a bank holiday around every corner.
Nice.
Right. Okie dokie. Okay, now on to the main attraction. Monet and Christian are an alternative folk duo hailing from Toronto and St. John, New Brunswick. Their music focuses on tight harmonies and thoughtful lyrics about finding your place in the world, and draws influences from many different sources as possible, from Simon and Garfunkel to Florence and the Machine to Led Zeppelin, and even musical theater. The pair originally met in theater school in 2016. When not performing around Canada, Monet and Christian take their music to the high seas while performing on cruise ships. Welcome to Song Talk Radio, Monet and Christian.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and before we get to Monet and Christian's very cool song, I just want to talk a little bit about this gig you had. You have the cruising or performing on cruise ships. How does that work? How did you guys get that, and how was the experience?
Monet worked some magic somehow.
Yeah, it was. It kind of We met in theater school, as I said, as you said, sorry, and we graduated during the pandemic. And basically, there was no theater work, and we had to readjust. And we'd started singing together, and my mom had seen a duo on a cruise ship, so she told us to look into it. And then, this is very funny, I joined a bunch of Facebook pages with different titles like musicians for cruise ships, a bunch of stuff like that. And I found an agent. We started submitting.
You emailed like everyone under the sun.
I emailed a million agents, and a lovely gentleman, he answered us. He saw our video footage and he was like, you guys would be really good for cruise ships. So he submitted us, and then Carnival Cruise Lines gave us an offer, and they were like, we want you on board in 3 weeks, which was crazy. And then that was 2 years ago.
Now, what did you have to do to prepare? Like, did you have to develop like 3 full sets of music, or how does that work?
More than
you
3.
need the minimum they suggest is 200 songs.
Wow.
200 songs.
Because we do generally 4 sets a day, 6 days a week. So about 60 songs a day. And if a cruise is all week long, you don't want to repeat the same songs too much, which is why you want so much music.
Wow. And it's mostly covers, is it? Is it mostly covers?
Yeah.
Yes. We are allowed to do original music, but for the majority, it's covers. Mm-hmm. So we have close to 300 songs now.
Yeah.
And it's all variety music. So we go all the way from Led Zeppelin to jazz music, folk, everything, pop.
We'll just throw in what we're feeling that day, basically.
Someone in the audience is always
and then
like...
we take requests from guests every day.
Yeah, just someone in the audience is always like, give me some Jethro Tull. No.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Generally, it's someone in the audience saying, sing Freebird. They do it every day. And we don't sing Freebird, unfortunately.
Say no. Ask the band.
But yeah, it's an awesome job. We love it.
Yeah, I love it. We get to play music together. We travel, they house us, they feed us, they pay us. We spent a month and a half in Europe last year. And
we're going to Australia in a couple weeks, which will be really
Oh,
cool.
poor you.
Wow. What a great opportunity, though, because in the music industry now, it's very hard to always be on tour or always performing, which is what bands in the 70s would do. They would get signed and be put on a tour, and they would spend the next 6 months just playing every night. Playing 4 sets a day for weeks and weeks and weeks. And how long was it? Was it a couple of months or?
It was 4 months.
Yeah, we just got off a 4-month contract.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How rarely do you get a chance to practice that much?
Yeah.
Let alone perform that much. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. You hear occasionally, I don't want to say all the time, occasionally about, singer-songwriters, I just got a residency at so-and-so club. I'm playing once a week for the next 3 months. It's one evening. It's nothing compared to that kind of quantity. But that's what it is. It's essentially a residency, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of,
It's tightened up the act for sure. I will say.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It basically taught us everything we know. When we first started performing, I didn't know how to talk to the audience at all. So we'd go from song to song. We'd take no breaks. The song would end and we'd immediately start the next song, which meant we were playing so many songs a set. Now we can talk to people. We found out we're funny. We didn't know that. I suspected it, but I had no proof.
That's amazing.
You do have that theater background too, which helps.
Yes.
I think the theater background helps and doesn't help. Because in theater, you learn a script and you perform it. And that's what I'm used to, is I get up there and I do the performance, but I don't always want to let people, into me. I'm used to letting them into a character. It's not me. But then when we're doing stuff like this, you've got to really put yourself out there in, I think, a more intimate way than theater, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, especially with like the cruise ship, it's a really unique space because it's not like playing in a club where you're up on the stage and, then the audience is down. Like if you're playing in like the lobby, it's this little tiny thing that just sticks out and people there's sometimes a gate that you enter the stage from, but this time it was just like a rope. So guests can just like come up and start chatting with you while you're playing, and like so you sort of have to be ready to interact with whoever happens to walk by that day, and very often in the middle of a song too, which we will.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
Where's
certainly.
The dining room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just follow the food. Yeah, that's amazing, and that's certainly that's an amazing way to get your chops down and really, really hone your craft for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay, let's get moving here. Let's take a listen to Monet and Christian's song. This is called Homestead Heart.
They'll say she's been finding herself for years,
but I'll say she's only gotten more lost.
And her heart always aches, but her feet keep on begging for more.
I wonder what they're searching for.
What if I'm never truly happy?
What if the urge to run never disappears?
What if I always feel lost in a big new city? Or stuck back home? Maybe both would be a pity. Homestead heart and traveling feet.
Traveling feet, neither will ever
Very nice.
Very cool.
Thank you very much.
I guess that's coming from personal experience. All the globetrotting you guys have been doing. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, the song is very much about how we travel a lot. And anytime we go somewhere new, I always want to go home. And then whenever I go home, I miss the big city or I miss traveling.
There's just, there's always somewhere else that you want to be. You're either homesick or you.
So for the most part, whenever we, the process for the most part is I will write the lyrics and then I give the lyrics to Christian and then he comes up with a tune. And then once we have something that kind of works, we start arranging it together to see how it would sit in our voices. And then we think about layering and how harmonies would work and where we want the climax to be.
So when you write the lyrics, Monet, you're not thinking about melodies at all, or you are?
No.
Really?
Sometimes I have a certain idea. When I wrote the lyrics, I told Christian that I pictured this as being an upbeat song. We do a lot of slow, depressing songs, and I handed him the lyrics, and I was like, "Listen, I know this is really still depressing, but I want."
She's like, this is about traveling. Make it sound like it's traveling. Just like make it sound like this, and I go, okay. Here's where, So it's so then I take it and I go, okay, so like this is going to be a song that sounds like like a classic like Canadian sort of roots folk song that you would do like a massive road trip across the country to, or you would and then I start building from there. We were doing our own road trip at the time, as we very often are. We kind of live out of cars very often, and we were listening to a lot of. We had a Mumford and Sons CD in the car, and they use a lot of in their upbeat songs, a lot of really big like open tuning, sort of in just on like just acoustic guitar, but they just have this open tuning that makes it sort of sound so much bigger and more epic than it is. So that then I went, all right, then we're going to do an open tuning, and this, because that really is what it is it maybe to some people is just like, oh, you're home or you're out traveling, which is really cool, and oh, you miss home, but it feels so much larger than life while it's happening, right? So we tried to make it feel like this big, larger than life thing. And you write a lot of, if I may say so, you write a lot of your lyrics in a sort of larger than life way.
Yeah, everything
anyway.
I write's very dramatic because generally I have a meltdown and then I write lyrics. And then I forget about them, and then I reread them, and then I hand them to Christian afterwards. Because sometimes after a meltdown, the lyrics are terrible. But sometimes they're just the right amount of dramatic.
You come back with like a little bit of clarity afterwards. You go, oh, actually, this was something maybe.
Yeah, well, this is one way of working through the meltdown, I guess.
Yeah.
And
it's cheaper than therapy.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's free therapy, right? So how do you guys, when it comes to the arranging of the song, then how do you decide who's going to sing what and where you're going to harmonize and what you're not going to harmonize? And
honestly, it's ever changing. Like this song, because we've recorded it now, and actually this song isn't out yet. This song will come out in, I think, a couple months. We're hoping end of summer, beginning of fall is when this song will be out. But because it's recorded now, it's a little bit more solidified, but we'll still change it when we're playing it. We try and find, the first thing is always, because so much of what we do is based around our harmonies. Like that's the most important thing to us. So the first thing always is what key is going to work for this that's going to suit both of our voices. So that's where we find, because you'd think once you figured it out, you would just have it, but like with every different melody, it changes. Like what key are both of our voices going to sit in a natural way in this song? And once we figured that out, then it's really just kind of at the beginning, it's like testing the waters a little bit. Like, all right, you sing this line. Nope, hated it. I'm going to sing that line. And then...
But sometimes we already have an idea in place. For example, this one we had in verses, And we like to do a back and forth occasionally. So we already knew that you would start with the first verse and I would do the second verse. Because a lot of the times where we're basically two voices and a guitar, we try and layer. And if you start everything with two voices and a guitar, that's all we have right off the top. That doesn't work. So we try and start with one voice and the guitar, other voice and the guitar. Then it'll be all of us, all of us, both of us together.
All three
and
of
that
you.
would be more of a climax.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
I think a lot of it comes from our musical theater training. A lot of contemporary musical theater music will start quiet and then it gets big in the middle and then a lot of it ends quiet again. Now, Homestead Heart ends loud. We wanted it to drive the whole way, but we do like to play with that idea that to keep someone listening, if something's loud the whole time, generally an audience member will tune out.
Okay.
Whereas
I get what this is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Whereas if you do something like cut out the guitar for a bit and have an a cappella portion, or change it to just my vocals or Christian's vocals, have it be a back and forth, something like that. Oh, my chair just broke, sorry. But something like that can just
Here,
make
this
you...
is a big chair.
Perfect. Sorry. But yeah, something like that can just make you tune in as an audience member.
Yeah. And I think to speak to what you were saying about the musical theater element is, I mean, we've obviously with the music a little bit moved away from, like, it doesn't sound like we're singing Rodgers and Hammerstein, but the thing that we were trained to do in school is how do you make a story arc? It's like, it's not just about sounding nice and the music theory to it, but it's got to be transportative. Yeah. So it honestly, in the end, it really is a lot of sitting in a room for hours and being like, have we crafted the exact arc that we want someone to go on? Like, it's not just about the feeling of the song, but it's sort of like a story structure has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of, I know that sounds sort of a bit more cerebral than specific, I guess, but it is really just a lot of we'll nitpick over a verse for ages. Did it grow the right way? Did it?
Well, because it has to serve the lyrics at the end of the day. If you're writing a song that is also a story, then that sometimes is the deciding factor on, for example, when the harmonies will come in, is if it's going to be impactful for the story we're trying to tell.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we'll agonize over it for ages and ages and ages, and then something stupid will happen by accident. And we'll go, oh, that's the thing we were looking for. Like in Monet's verse, her first solo verse off the top of the song, at the very end of the verse, there's a part where in the recording it splits into a harmony that's like her overlaid with herself. And the reason that came about is when we were recording it, we had already decided what the melody was, and then Monet said, I wonder if the melody will, if there's a slightly better melody that can go here. So she just tried to record it, and then when we went and listened to it back, we forgot to mute the original recording first, and so we heard these two splits, and we went,
that
actually worked.
We never would have found this if we had just accidentally not clicked this button. But like
those were for the lyrics for, but I think of them fondly each place that we go.
Yeah. And I think it works nice because I realize I can add a harmony to it, but it's your story about not knowing where you want to be. And it's like your brain splitting in two different ways. I don't know. And sometimes you can use all the tools in your toolbox, but then at the end of the day, sometimes you just forget to click a button once.
Yeah.
And there's your song, Yeah.
From all the covers that you've done over the last 4 months, have you sort of gained insights into other people's songwriting process?
I think so. I mean, we like it said in the intro, like Simon and Garfunkel, for example, is a huge inspiration for us. And yeah, like and you can tell everyone just does it differently. You're trying to find the right way to do it, and everyone does it differently. Simon and Garfunkel are a lot of our inspo for harmonies diverging and converging comes from them, because I mean, Monet loves the song I Am a Rock, and like that song, so much of it is actually in unison, but just the right spots where the harmonies come in that song just really emphasizes it, and that we really take that from them. This is embarrassing as two Canadians, very recently gotten into Gordon Lightfoot. We're really sorry. We're a little late to the game there. But he's a true storyteller, I think. And I think I've seen that come out in your writing too, I think. If I'm rambling tell me.
I would say for me, I don't know that I've necessarily gained insight on how other people are doing it, but because we're learning covers all the time, I've learned how to do it more so, because we'll see songs, because we get requested so many songs, and I generally have never heard of them before. I see these songs and they're amazing. It's like, how did I miss this? And you take something from every different song, you start taking ideas, or you start to see things you didn't know you liked before. There's so many genres of music I had no idea that I enjoyed until I started working on cruise ships. And I think that's what's really, for us, we end up taking all that, taking stuff like metal or jazz or everything, and at the end of the day, how can you put it into a song that is just two voices and a guitar? And I think it makes some of our music really interesting.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point of just like there's some genres that are not always my favorite, but then someone asks you to sing it and you wind up breaking down not what makes this song this genre or what makes it that genre. You just break down what at its core is this song.
And what makes it a good song.
Yeah. And you do actually learn a lot about an artist that way, because sometimes you're like, oh, I haven't really listened to this because this isn't my style of music. And then suddenly you're like, actually, now that I'm just sitting with an acoustic guitar listening to the words, you go, oh, wow, this is what this person is talking about. This is, really relatable. Like we do one single Slipknot song because there will always be that one person who sees the two kids playing folk music and goes, yeah, play Slipknot. And now we can say, okay, bet. I actually really like them, but like when you strip away everything, there's actually some really strong lyricism and some really powerful words in there that sometimes you can overlook in the big production and theatrics of what that band is. Although I love their theatrics too, but like when you actually look at it, you go, oh my, like there's some really hard hitting stuff here. Like, it was the song we learned was a particularly depressing one, but even for Slipknot.
Oh,
but yeah.
That's really quite amazing to be able to distill a song down to its bones, right? Like like you say, are the bones of the song really good, right? And if it's a good lyric, if it's a good melody, if it's a nice, like you say, is it transformative? What's the word you use? Does it take you somewhere, right? Does it take you on a journey? And that's that's all you kind of really need at the end of it. If you're just going to strip it down to voice and guitar, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with our original music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that's great is because people have requested these songs are songs that have resonated with people. So they're good. They basically achieved what we as songwriters want to do, which is connect with people. So This is every request is this song worked. The song did its job. So you can learn so much that way. It's an amazing opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We love it.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about like the cruise gig is when they request a song and you know it means something to them, but then when you break it, 'cause we try and not do straight covers. We always try and do something that has our little stamp on it. And if you get to see it still really resonate with them afterwards, like when you play it for them at the end of the cruise, and a lot of times they forgot they asked for it, and you get to sort of, it's a really great share. They've shared with us a song that means something to them, and then we don't just, it's not just like a jukebox. We get to share back with them sort of a little glimpse of what
It meant to us.
that song did for us when we listened to it. So it's not just like a regurgitation of a song. It's like, you've shared something special with me, and now let me share it back with you. And it's like it's a really awesome. And then we try and, you go through and you go, okay, so this little bit worked, and this little bit worked, and this little bit worked, and how can we bring that back to when we write our own things?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It just sort of steeps through. Like you don't necessarily. I suppose you do that sometimes. You sort of, I really want to pick out that little melody because it's super duper or whatever. Like that little snippet. But generally, it just kind of you let it steep, and yeah, that's amazing when you hear a song, hear a request of a song, you don't know it, you go learn it, and then you perform it later on in the cruise. That's incredible.
Wow, that must have been so much
back
fun.
to the audience. Yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie. I am here in the band. So I believe that is all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to Monet and Christian. Where can our listeners find out more about you and hear some more music?
All right, we are on pretty much everything. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, under Monet and Christian Music. Her name is spelled like the painter, Monet, and my name is spelled the normal way you would spell Christian, and is spelled like and.
Is it
And you can
or is
find
it
our
ampersand?
website.
Sometimes it's an ampersand. That's a good point.
Yes, and our website is monetandchristianmusic.com.
Yeah, and we've got some gigs coming up in Ontario, so you can come ask us about stuff live.
Awesome. All right, we'll definitely link to that stuff from our show post for this episode, so be sure to check that out. And we want to hear from you too, so please send us your comments on Facebook or Instagram to @SongTalkRadio, or send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes, and subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. You can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mention on the show on our resources page on the website. And please join us at our next monthly Song Talk meetup. Whether you're in Toronto for our in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups, it's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend. Bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil.
PhilEmery.ca.
And Monet and Christian, what's your favorite social media channel? Where do you guys post the most?
Instagram at Monet and Christian Music.
Yep. Awesome stuff. Okay, be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, and keep on writing.
Good night. Awesome.
Right. That was great.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for
I
being
hope
on.
we
That was-
weren't too rambly and chaotic.
No,
sometimes.
rambling
that's
chaotic
great.
is what we love.
Did you get
Awesome.
tired of the buffet?
Yes. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a crew mess and a guest. Obviously, there's food for all the guests. And we're lucky we get guest privileges on board, so we're allowed to go to either our crew mess or the guest mess.
Hmm.
So you've got options, and there's specialty restaurants you can pay extra for if you want, if you really need something different. There's like a sushi restaurant on board that we love.
Yeah.
But yes, by the end, I think it's more so, it's not that you get tired, it's just that you get tired of not having the choice.
It's
So
going to be
it's-
whatever it is that night.
Yeah, whether you like it or not. And there's always something good, but you start to be like, I wish I could choose what I was making tonight.
Yeah.
When we get home tomorrow night, I am cooking. I'm very hyped about it. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm buying.
Yeah, but then it's nice. By the time we get sick of cooking again, we'll get to go back on a cruise ship, and then we'll, you know, and there's always the first month or two on board that we're so happy that we don't have to make anything.
Everything's sparkly and new again. Yeah.
But then you've tried all the sandwiches, and you've tried all the burgers, and you've tried all the foods, and then you're like, oh, I'm ready to go home.
There was actually no references to food in your song.
Yeah.
I
know, you'd think.
Yeah.
Next
it needs a
song.
rewrite. It needs,
Our next
or a
song.
Homestead Heart Part 2, where it's just about the food we
sequel is
missed.
just about the food.
Yeah.
There's not enough songs about food.
That's
you should
true.
watch an old sitcom that was terrible then and it's terrible now called The Love Boat.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I love Boat.
We've heard about it. I think it's
Oh
still
my
going
God.
on. Because,
Well,
or at
it's-
least
it's-
they rebooted it.
Well, it's probably still in syndication because it was I think it was where like all the stars who sort of hadn't worked for like about 10 years kind of went on. So like all these people
Right.
who used to have series, they'd have a guest and you go, oh yeah, I remember him. And it's a terribly sexist. It's very much of its time, but it's just.
I remember watching it when I was really little, and I remember like the theme song and stuff.
Yeah.
Boat. Yeah. I don't remember anything about the content though. It's just people running around the boat.
Even as a kid, I remember watching it in syndication and thinking, "This is a really bad show."
Yeah. It is. We do get asked. We've been asked, is working on a cruise ship like Love Boat? And we've been asked. The other one is there's a show called Below Deck, which is a reality TV show about people who work on like charter yachts. It is really trashy television. Like I do not like. I have watched the show.
I like it. It's a good show.
I've watched it because we got asked enough times that I was like, I have to watch it so I
Just
can
out of
accurately
curiosity.
answer this
Yeah,
question. But it's bad.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, our cruise life is much more relaxed because we've come on as a couple. So I think it's more boring for us than for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, guys.
Right. It'll take about a week for the podcast to come out, but we will send you an email once it comes out. And if you could send it off to your various social media channels, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll post it everywhere.
You got it. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I've been recording this audio, so I just save it. You wanted a WAV file, right?
Yeah. That'd be great if you could save it as a wave, and then because actually your connection dropped out a few times. We couldn't hear what you were saying, so your wave file will cover that.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, we got the whole thing going.
Yeah, sure. Just shoot it over to me, and then we'll deal with it. Awesome, guys.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks so
Hey,
much.
yeah,
so
thank
much.
you so much.
All right.
And,
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Enjoy getting home.
Bye.
Thank you very
you.
much.
Cheers. See you soon. Bye bye.